Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Crusaders of Magic here near the wonderful entrance of Catacombs with the missing polygons, and we are going into the fabulous Duskwood. Well, to be truthful, this is pretty much the only part of the wood that you're going to see. Some trees, some sun rays, some leaves on the ground not aligned to the plane of the ground, some other trees, and dashers. New unique enemy actually pose a different sort of challenge from the previous guys, and a new combat style is enforced. I could have probably used it against multiple skeletons before, but here against dashers it's crucial, because if you suck here, if you don't use your head, you shall die, because they come in groups and they are really fast. Also dasher weapons, really creative name for weapons there. Gonna align my stuff in the inventory a little bit so that I can fit more dasher weapons to sell later. They are the most expensive type of regular weapon that we can find before the next merchant. So, the tactic of these guys is to not get greedy, because they're fast and you will not be able to kill one just between his attacks in one combo. You should just deal single hits as you can get openings, because you know these groups, they're going to try to run around you like that, and you'll have to turn around rapidly to where an attack is coming from, and it is very high speed, pretty fun actually, probably like one of the most fun battle types in this game, so to speak. This game is kinda cool in that you expect it to be one thing, but it's this really simplistic kind of game. I'm kinda sucking here, doing a poor job of demonstrating. Holy shit, that was a mistake. And now this is kind of Dark Soulish. You feel your mistake coming in a few seconds before it actually arrives. But anyway, it's a very simple game, not as complicated as you would expect from like a RPG elements and stuff kind of game. But the combat, while being very simple, most of the time is challenging enough, at least on hard, that you need to spend time and actual effort, like mentally, to figure out a way to beat people. And usually it's easy, but some of these solutions, while being really simple, don't really come to you just like that. For example, these blocking and doing just single hits out of the block for the group of dashers and spinning in time in order to block everything from all sides pretty much came to me as I was recording this, because previously, well, as I was practicing this, let's just make it clearer here, because when I was beating this game before, I just relied on a shit ton of saves coming, but of course I cannot do it during a recording because I want to be all clean and fair and honest, and you know, no quick save abuse. Oh shit, I'm going to die here. Well, actually no, I'm not. It's a spot commentary. I know that I do not die. I would record real-time commentary with this, but I wasn't really sure that I would survive, and I don't really... Whoa! Yeah, that was kind of scary. I don't really want to have to record takes after takes after takes of saying the same stuff, you know, until finally I succeed. This is like the third take. I died a couple times trying this, and this pretty much is what my practice consisted of. So I worked out this strategy, and now I can proudly say that this is a good part of the game, because I was all about to bash on this Duskwood, and it is really boring looking, and just empty canyon with a tree here and there, and not even a skybox or anything. Well, at least the music is kinda good, atmospheric and stuff. And now I find out that the combat here is actually pretty good. So it's quite a redeeming feature for this area. And I guess there's some sort of atmosphere here, slightly. It's still probably the worst part of the game, but the combat makes it really fun to go through. And yes, you can actually use fireballs against these guys. Use my mana crystals just because they're kind of limited in their use, and I wanted to free up some space. And yes, the mana crystals are of course useful for a pinch like this. Of course, a mana potion is better because it replenishes all your mana instantly. You don't even have to wait for the drink animation, unlike other potions, I think. At least I believe so. But does really matter. I don't really need a lot of magic here. The fireball, you see, these guys aren't very tough, and the fireball still you need a lot of them to hit. I mean to kill. Hooray, level up. So it's still probably not the best idea to rely on offensive magic, but we shall get a quite awesome and pretty much essential spell in this here location, which will be my companion for the rest of the game and will be used continuously and always and constantly and just all the time. It's kinda like a better version of Stone Skin, actually useful buff, but we will discuss that when we get that spell book. It is actually located in a kind of an intuitive spot, but you shall see everything with your own eyes. I was about to say how many eyes, but I don't know how many of you are watching, so I cannot really predict that. Probably like 4 eyes in total. Hippocat and some other guy. That guy, the Magnesium. There you go, that's your name. Hippocat and Magnesium. Maybe some other guy occasionally joins them, but whatever. And yeah, this guy can actually hold up his shield while he's drinking. Therefore, he is much better than Dark Souls protagonists. That is quite a feature. I mean, he honestly can hold up his shield easily while performing a wide array of actions, and it is such a relief to be able to do that. Just remembering Dark Souls and the bullshit with the shield where it's like so slow to hold it up and puts it down every time it does anything, so yeah. This game is better than Dark Souls, at least controls better, you know? After some grief that Blade of Darkness gave me between updates here, I'm ready to say that this game and Rune are almost perfectly controllable, and Blade of Darkness is kind of in the Dark Souls camp in that it limits the player artificially in annoying ways. For example, I very much enjoy being able to turn exactly where I point with my mouse. Do not have to rely on any sort of lock-on. I have strafing available to me even outside of said lock-on, which doesn't exist, so I don't know how that makes any sense. But yes, also they drop enough potions so that we can compensate pretty much. This is back to Catacombs. There are some signposts useful, because without them I would probably get a bit more lost in this forest. This here is an open part. Usually you can go straight across and there's a continuation of the canyon, but we shall go actually deeper into the open part because it's kinda interesting. It's a bit of a detour, quite honestly, but my first time through the Duskwood, I kinda wanna explore that side as well, because usually I'm not even going there. Well, actually, that's a lie, there is a reason to go there later, a story reason. But there is enemies experience, by the way. Yeah, those were new guys, forgot to mention. Ogres! Even though they look like normal human people, they are actually ogres. Some of them are huge. And this place is magic. It causes everyone to completely freeze in place and get confused. I was hoping to have enough fireballs to maybe kill that one guy. Of course, while I'm spending all my mana, enough mana regenerates for an extra fireball, so really you have your maximum amount divided by the cost plus 1 fireball. Most of the time, sometimes probably even plus 2, although your mana amount probably scales slower than your fireball cost, because you know, when spells get upgraded, their cost also rises. So that's kind of bullshit, but I mean, it kind of makes sense, I guess, although I really don't really want more expensive versions of some of these spells. But I guess then again, if I'm being honest, there are spells that I cast and they get vastly improved with upgrades, and there are spells that I do not cast anyway, so whatever. Let them take as much mana as they want. Fireball I don't tend to cast, but here I just wanted to differentiate a little bit. And yeah, those guys totally say bye-bye when they die. By the way, there's a sort of slightly different fighting style against those guys as well, because they sometimes like to do a second attack right after one is blocked. So they might get you while you think you're safe and you start attacking them. I wish this game had a bit more of this, because this is straight up Dark Souls kinda learn enemy patterns kinda shit. And it's fun, it's really fun. But as I said, it's very primitive and limited, but it doesn't mean that the core gameplay isn't fun. So whoever was asking before, and whoever decides to ask in the future, yes, this game is fun, if you put any thought into it and not just hope to completely beat it with your eyes closed, of course. And yeah, sorry if this is a lot of the same stuff. I mean, the combat is at least exciting for me. Exciting enough to believe that it's kind of might be fun to watch and interesting, because it's It's on the verge of being pretty dangerous, but I like to think that I'm handling it fine enough. Of course, one-on-one these guys aren't dangerous, but every once and again actually, that's what I wanted to say, yes, exactly. There comes a group, and this is where this game gets challenging usually. Most of the time single enemies are completely trivial, but groups are where you have to think and apply strategy and tactics and all sorts of clever shit. Or maybe just agility, straight up agility. Of course you will make mistakes, and as I said, this game, even though you wouldn't expect the gameplay to be polished or anything, and I kind of suspect that this is more or less just happenstance and a happy accident that turned out like that. But a lot of time, when you are about to get fucked up by enemies, it's your fault, and just as in Dark Souls, you see it, you see when you make a mistake, and you pretty much can predict the consequences a couple seconds before they happen. So that's really fun in its own way, because it kind of makes everything feel fair, you know? It's kind of hilarious that my attitude changed so much, because I started this trio of Let's Plays believing that Blade of Darkness was the most fair in combat out of the three, but Blade of Darkness is chock full of bullshit, because your characters handle like just molasses, sometimes randomly flying off somewhere, or your weapons just go through people because collisions are kind of stupid with them, or all sorts of crap happens that you aren't really in total control of. In Rune and Crusaders though, even though some situations might seem unfair because they're tough, you are in total control pretty much all the time, and you are at fault for everything that happens to you 99% of the time. Apart from jumps in Crusaders, of course. Jumping in Crusaders, like against those pillars in the catacombs, that's kind of not the best, but you can still do it. I mean, I don't know, sometimes that random hitting ceiling, invisible ceiling with your head kind of thing happens, but most of the time, and combat especially, combat is completely like you are in control. You are free to select an approach that will help you survive any encounter, and every encounter is completely survivable. You don't really have an opportunity to like fuck up your character's progression somehow, that you that you are just unable to progress like in some RPG style games. Holy crap, I'm getting beaten up here. Now you wish Dark Souls characters could do that, just jump a couple human heights in the air, chuck two potions at the same time, not waste any time, get back into attacking. Just like that. Yeah, you can kind of wail on these guys, but here, this is a nasty part, and I can tell you right away, I sucked at it, because I drank a speed potion, and I believed myself to be invincible based on the experience with a similar kind of gang of skeletons before. You might remember in the first video, I think. So I rushed straight into the middle of this group of 4 ogres, which is actually a really dangerous situation. So I got my ass handed to me and had to waste a bunch of potions here and there. But I survived my first try, so that's the important, I guess, thing. Let's just watch me kind of pop on here. I mean, ogres are simpler than dashers because they're slower, they're bigger targets, they're more easily stun-locked. I guess the main thing is that they're slower and bigger, because, I mean, the bigness is also a factor in how they can maneuver around you and between themselves. So that kind of helps. Of course, they have more health, like vastly more health, but still. They are kind of, almost, I want to say, well, actually no, this group of 4 was a disaster, and I don't know how easily I would have been able to deal with it if I didn't do the drink potion, presume invincibility thing, and it probably would have been much harder than the group of 4 dashers, so I don't actually believe that they are easier. I was about to say that, but no. And there is nothing in here. Actually, we will be sent to this exact place later on the fetch quest, and that time, after killing all these, we finished the fetch quest, sort of. We still need to go back, of course, because this is Crusaders, so you need to backtrack. But still, this is like the lair of ogres. And that was kind of fun. My first time through the game, I actually ran past this place, and I remembered it as that one little, like, dead end with a bunch of ogres. And once later, when I was given the quest to go into the lair of ogres and retrieve a thing, I pretty much immediately thought of that part, even though it's not really described as the lair of ogres. By the way, this guy's cool, he gets a speed potion, money. But yeah, Eastern Stronghold and Corantha. Back here, the other way is pretty much to that place where we forked into the more open kind of forest. Actually, the second part here is very similar in structure. There is also this open forest part in the next level. The Duskwood is, it consists of 2 levels, which are kind of similar, mirrored almost, but the other one has a little fork into Eastern Stronghold, which is another entrance to the same stronghold where we were held prisoner in the very beginning of the game. And that is the front of the stronghold through which we kind of want to go in the future using the Horn of Shattering, but actually we don't really want to go there because we were just ordered to retrieve the horn, you know, and bring it back and not use it to go through the wall of the fortress ourselves. Here the dashers are kind of positioned weirdly, probably because they tried to be positioned like in case you came back from that side, because this is the other part and you will be coming from that side as well, so they kinda, the positioners, the level designers kinda cut the losses, I assume, by positioning the dashers in different directions in 2 of these halves of Duskwood, so you will inevitably face some that are just standing still at their backs to you because they were placed meant for the other trip in the other direction that you will inevitably make. Okay, can't connect the potions in that direction, but can in that. But that's actually, interestingly enough, the only part where there's like that. Well, actually no, that's a lie. There's a couple more dashers staying like that, but it's not a lot. There's going to be more later, of course. By the way, these dashers are pretty much the stuff of nightmares for me, because my first time through the game when I was playing as a kid, I didn't quite grasp the concept of blocking. And these guys, I was completely unable to do anything, to offer any kind of resistance against them. So they will just maul me and kill me in seconds. So I had to stack up on speed potions, not actually healing potions, I was stacking up on speed potions for a while. And I had to run through this entire location past all the dashers because I believe that it was completely impossible for me to take them on. And I don't remember how that eventually ended, because I mean you have to run through this whole place multiple times in multiple directions, but I was probably playing on easy anyway, so I might have resorted to fireballs or some shit later. By the way, this guy, you might notice the green guy is stronger. That is because he has this spell book, which I presume he was using. It's actually a green one. The first time I'm noticing that there's a different one, not the blue one. But it's heroism, aka the best buff, the only buff that matters. At level 1, it increases your strength. Might increase the speed actually, I'm not really sure. Kinda feels like it increases speed slightly. But the most important aspect is the strength increase, which in this case allows us to kill dashers, the ordinary dashers, in 2 hits instead of 3, which is actually quite a blessing. Even though there aren't any really tough hordes of like 4+ dashers, I don't think, anymore, it's still really a huge relief to have an easier time with dashers in general in this second half of this location. Now this buff runs out very fast, but I mean it doesn't really cost a lot to renew it, and while you will probably run out of mana eventually if you just keep continuously buffing yourself like I'm doing here, there isn't really, like, I mean there isn't a shortage of mana crystals or mana potions, or just you can stand there and wait for a while, and not every place in the game even is long enough for you to run out of mana doing this, because I mean you will get more mana later in the game as you level up, probably through some equipment as well, but I don't remember which equipment I actually choose in the game, apart from several examples which are centered around making me quicker, because that I can remember easily. And I remember the stuff about the armor, which was like element defense, which is useless, and I want the something of comforting in embrace, I think it's called, which is defending against dark, which is useful. By the way, forgot to mention, we passed there some dasher structures like houses and such. They actually live up above in the treetops, in the presumed canopies above, through which those light pillars are shining. Because I mean this, I think it's supposed to be like a really giant forest. This is their excuse for having so few trees down here, and somehow some mysterious light pillars just going from the sky. I think it is kind of hinted that the forest is very dense, but it's very high, and that it's foggy enough, like there's fumes and shit, so they don't actually see the top. And it kinda, I don't know, it kinda almost works. I kind of enjoy this place, but it's, apart from the fun combat, it's the worst place in this game by far. And if this place was decorated better and laid out slightly better, and I guess maybe the beginning of the game as well, I would hesitate to call this game even all that bad. Which I still do, but like sometimes you need to be honest with people. And sometimes you can just pretend. And I forgot where I was even going with that, so whatever. Tradida, there is some more signs. There's Corantha, where we want to go. There is the fork to the Eastern Citadel, or not the Citadel, the Fortress I think, or Stronghold. Stronghold, holy shit, all those words. Most of them names for castles in Heroes Might Magic, but we don't really want to go there, there's nothing special. I don't remember if there's maybe a couple skeletons on the way there, which could kind of slightly just mix up the enemy selection here, but it's still pointless backtracking, because you can even go inside the Citadel and fight through like a little town part before the actual wall that you cannot penetrate, but it's entirely pointless unless you really want some extra bunch of experience, which isn't even that much. It might be, I mean, there might be a new unique enemy standing there, but we'll meet them eventually anyway. Stronger undead. We might meet them on our way back to the catacombs after we have successfully got our horn of shattering, or whatever it's called, from the dwarves. Where we are going now, this is, you might notice, a long stretch of nothing, meaning it's edge of the map, and pretty soon we are going to be arriving in Corantha. Also, do not despair, all my future trips through this location, and probably including fights as well, I will be speeding up considerably. This is just the first trip, so I left it as is. I'll probably mention it in the description so that you are not alarmed throughout the entire video until this very almost end. But yeah, here is Corantha. The entrance is pretty unassuming, just this kind of cliffside here. Let's talk to the dwarves for a while, the guardians, the guards.
Halt!
What business brings you to Corantha?
A lady by the name of Celestia sent me. I'm here to share a word with the king of the Stoneheart clan.
A diplomat, eh? You don't look like one.
And you don't look like much of a threat either.
Stop stabbing yourself in the face.
Let him pass, but be warned. A civil war rages beneath these halls.
Aye, the Iron Pit clan has taken arms against the throne. They'll not be sympathetic to your cause.
I'm beginning to see why Celestia sent me.
Man, that animation, when he just starts stabbing himself furiously in the face with his sword, is something else. Also, these gnomes, these dwarves are creepy as hell. For some reason, some of them, well, I guess maybe those are miners. So they are thin, because they work a lot, and they are pale, because they don't see the sun a lot. Makes sense, I guess. But still, they are kind of spooky. Here's the interesting part. We are entering Corantha. There is lava, with a very strange texture of it, and something in the wall which I haven't been able to identify. It kind of maybe looks like some sort of like bones embedded in the dirt, but it also looks kind of decorative, especially considering there's another one straight up on the opposite edge of this very ravine here. So yeah, whatever that is, I don't know.
Hail and well met. I'm Belbor.
Some dwarves have actually better voice acting.
I have heard that blunt weapons like the hammer work better on creatures made of stone or crystal. The resonant tone of the blow adds to the damage.
But most do not. Also, that's bullshit.
I don't think King Stoneheart was killed. I think he was taken to Stronghold. They never found his body, you know. The Iron Pick rebels knew what they were doing when they moved their base to the mines. They control the richest tunnels, the deepest ones.
Yeah, what the previous guy said about blunt weapons, I think it's complete bullshit. If it's not really noticeable enough.
I've been outside, but not very often. I prefer the mines to the forest or anywhere else out there.
I can understand that.
Welcome, human. Greetings, Crusader.
I feel very welcome.
I've been tinkering with a way to organize gems and coins. It will sort them into the correct piles based on weight, dimension, and value.
Huh. Let's visit the shops.
Please, check out my fine wares.
Spoiler alert, they are not at the moment selling anything interesting. They have some artifacts that we might be interested in. I think I just screwed myself out of selling him shields, but yeah. Some of these things like are kind of useful, but not really. Listen, I don't think so. That Storm's axe might have been actually slightly better than the sword that I'm having right now. But I will check that out at some point. Dragon Tamer's Ring, I think that's protection against fire. Also, so useless, yes. Also, my tradition is to, each time I look at the shop owner that has potions, I buy all of them once. That's my tradition. But yeah, I might go and compare stats between updates to see if that thing, the weapon that the previous guy, the first guy had, is actually better than this sword. Because I don't want to waste time checking out my stat screens, equipping and equipping. Thankfully, you though can sell and buy at the same exact price. The price is fixed. You do not haggle. You don't lose money. If you buy something, look at it and then sell. That is very nice of this game, and I appreciate that. Although it's not like I would be running out of money anyway.
Health and wealth to you, Crusader.
Such feminine voice. Cool. This inn is totally useless. All the time I really want to see something in here. I really want to find some secret or some item like in the inn in the human town of whatever its name was, but there is nothing, just some dwarfs here and there that pretty much just tell you to go fuck yourself.
Off with you.
I do apologize, but I am busy.
At least the girl was polite. Oh well, no reason to ever return here. Just kinda seen it because it looks kinda neat. I mean, I would live here for a couple days, maybe. Especially if those dwarf girls were around, because they're kinda cute. But don't quote me on that. Okay, this guy doesn't want to talk.
Always prepare yourself to be outnumbered in battle. Look for advantageous ground, or areas to avoid, or gain ambush. Tunnel fighting is ideal for a single adventure to even the odds.
Now this girl knows what she's talking
traveler.
about.
I am Ulgar.
Yep. Slightly talked over that guy, but never mind. That girl, she knows her combat. She was probably the NPC that advised me that very thing before. There's a hidden ring, sort of. I think it gives us extra health, but I only pretty much put it on because it's free.
I lost my only 3 brothers to fighting in the mines.
There are some other useful rings, but of course I will probably be keeping speed rings.
It can take a dwarf a day or more to properly braid his or her beard. Price that if you were talking about the hair on our heads too.
Thankfully I haven't seen dwarf girls with beards yet.
Tell your human friends they had better get their chain-covered backsides in gear and start fighting the evil that plagues this world. We dwarves can't do it all. Well, we can do most of it, but not all of it.
Yeah, okay, if you say so. So yeah, this pretty much is Corantha. There's some more houses. Actually no, there aren't more houses. They're mining straight up in their own town wall. Here is entrance to the mines for the future, and here is sort of like the palace residence.
My brother Keldrick and his wife Zoe are very able warriors and miners. They make a great team when working under dangerous conditions. I wish I had somebody to watch my back.
Yeah, Zoe's pretty cool.
Time will heal the wounds of this civil war. I hope that more lives are not lost than necessary to bring our brethren back into the hearth.
There might be something in one of these barrels, but I cannot be arsed to break all of them. It's too slow. Oh, don't mind if I do. Thanks.
I have noticed more mercenaries around. That can only spell war. Not that a good war shouldn't spring up every few years or so.
You warmonger.
Humans have a knack for picking up the various crafts, but they should be more focused. They will never be masters of a skill until they stop trying to master everything.
You are a racist. Useless. Let's go talk to people. Important people.
Greetings. My name's Drake. Celestia sent me to obtain the Horn of Shattering from your king.
Did she now?
I understand how important the horn is to you. But if the Crusaders can't stop the Legion, the spreading bloodshed will make your civil war look like a family feud. That's why King Stoneheart must...
There is no King Stoneheart. Ha! He's been slain and his son Prince Dane kidnapped.
Awkward pause.
Even as we speak, the Iron Pick rebels are holding him deep in the bowels of the Corantha mines. At one time, the mines were our life's blood. Now they're a battlefield.
It's the work of a traitor, I tell you!
Enough! If the prince were here, he might be inclined to lend you the Horn of Shattering. Otherwise, we do not have the authority.
Then maybe I'd better get him back.
Yep, things aren't going to be as simple as getting the horn and going back to the forest and catacombs. First we gotta go into the mines, which are actually probably the best dungeon in the game. The best... oh, don't mind if I do. The best looking and quite cool music in it as well, so that's something to look forward to quite a lot for the next video. Where we'll be going to the mines, saving the prince and getting the Horn of Shattering. But for now, thank you very much for watching this. And I hope to see you next time, but for now, I already said for now, that's redundant. Oh well, just, you know, goodbye. Bye, goodbye.